Welcome to the 41st millennium, a time where humanity spans 1,000,000 worlds, and war never ends. According to the records of the Imperium, nearly 500 million soldiers die every hour across the galaxy. Let that sink in, every hour. But here's the question we're asking today. Could your body, your modern 21st century body, survive in the world of WARHAMMER 40K? We're going to use real-world science to answer that. We'll explore how your mind and body would handle the miserable life on Hive cities, the psychological toll of endless war, and the insane biological changes needed to even exist in the Imperium. Think you're tough enough? Hit that like button, and let's dive into this nightmare together. You wake up in complete darkness. For a moment, you think you're still dreaming. But then you take a breath, and the chemical burn in your lungs tells you, no, this is real. You've just been dropped into the lower levels of a Hive City, one of the monstrous urban sprawls that define life for most of humanity in Warhammer 40,000. The air is a mix of microscopic metal shavings, toxic gases, and organic decay, 500% more polluted than Earth's dirtiest cities. Every breath you take damages your lungs. A flickering green light buzzes above, barely illuminating the crumbling ferrocrete walls. Around you, the Hive never sleeps. Machines groan like beasts, pumping out noise levels that sit around 110 decibels, as loud as a chainsaw running next to your ear. According to medical research, permanent hearing loss happens after 15 minutes at that volume. You've already been here for hours. Hive cities redefine the concept of urban sprawl. A typical Hive world holds 100 to 200 billion people, with some nearing 1 trillion. You're in the subhive, the lowest and most miserable tier. Far above, noble elites sip wine in artificial gardens. In the middle zones, administrators and skilled laborers shuffle papers and push buttons. But down here, you're disposable. You're not a person. You're a biological tool. Water is a luxury. If you're lucky, you'll get 1 or 2 liters a day. It's pumped through rusted pipes and doesn't even look like water. It's more like a chemical soup, a cocktail of recycled bodily fluids, industrial runoff, and barely functional filtration systems. Imperial data suggests 80% of Hive citizens drink recycled waste. The taste? Metallic, putrid. But thirst doesn't care. And then there's the darkness. It isn't just a lack of light. It's a psychological void. You and 90% of the population will never see sunlight. Without UV rays, your body can't produce vitamin D. And within weeks, your bones begin to deteriorate. The mental effects hit even faster. The claustrophobia, the sense of being buried alive, the paranoia, all of it crushes the psyche. Imperial records show 95% of subhive residents experience clinical depression, a deafening horn blasts, shift change. Gray uniformed workers shuffle past you, eyes glazed with exhaustion. Their workday is 20 hours long. Sleep? You get 4, maybe 6 hours. That's not rest. That's just enough to keep your brain from collapsing. Miss a shift, and you lose your ration card. Lose your card? You starve. You're herded toward a vast manufacturing hall, a cathedral of rust and machinery. Thousands operate ancient machines whose purpose has been lost to time. People don't understand how these machines work. They just repeat what their ancestors did. Inside, it's 38 degrees Celsius, that's 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and sweat clings to your skin like oil, but there's no relief. The air is thick, stagnant, and loaded with bacteria. Your immune system? Useless. You're not ready for what's floating in the Hive air. The microbial ecosystem here has 10,000 years of evolution behind it, including antibiotic-resistant superbugs. A simple cut from a rusted panel can lead to untreatable infection. If the air doesn't get you, a paper cut will. Studies suggest a modern human, even one in great shape, would collapse within 72 hours down here without major biological enhancements. Hive citizens have evolved over countless generations. They're smaller, paler, with enhanced toxin filtration and an almost inhuman psychological tolerance. Your next signal, mealtime. You line up and a gray brick is slapped onto your tray. It's called corpse starch. It smells like chemicals with a hint of death. Before you even take a bite, your stomach is turning. But you have no choice. Here's the truth. Most of what you eat in the Imperium is recycled human biomass. That bar you're holding? 60% corpse, 30% synthetic filler, 10% preservatives. It's not technically cannibalism. It's just industrial efficiency. Billions need food. There's no room for farming. So the dead feed the living. The daily ration gives you about 1,200 to 1,500 calories. That's 40% below what you'd need for the labor you're doing. It keeps workers in a constant state of malnutrition, too weak to rebel, but just strong enough to keep going. And food safety? Forget it. Parasites are common, often intentionally left in, because they help with digestion. The bars are often moldy, insect-ridden, or tainted with industrial chemicals. Bon appetit. Meanwhile, the upper hive dines on real meat, vegetables, and imported delicacies. Their teeth are white. Yours? They're already rotting. Suddenly, a siren howls. A man near you collapses. Medics drag his limp body away, and nobody even blinks. You've just witnessed one of millions of daily deaths. Only 1 in 1,000 Hive citizens die of natural causes. That's a 0.1% chance you'll ever live long enough to die peacefully. In a hive of 50 million, only 50,000 people will die in bed. The rest? Grim math time. 30% die in industrial accidents. Crushed, burned, melted. 25% starve to death. 15% succumb to disease. 10% are murdered by gangs. 8% die in the military. The remaining 12% executed arbitrarily or killed by random violence. Every day is a gamble. The odds are never in your favor. Factories ignore safety. Giant presses flatten workers like bugs. Old reactors leak radiation that guarantees cancer within a decade. No helmets, no gloves. Safety slows production, and that's unacceptable. Gang wars are a way of life. Sub-hive zones are carved into invisible territories. Cross the wrong line and you're dead. Arbitrators, the Imperium's brutal enforcers, can summarily execute you for being late to work. No trial, no mercy. Every morning you wake up as a miracle, but miracles don't last. But let's say you screw up, or worse, you're useful. Then you may face a fate far darker than death. In the Imperium, your body is just a resource. Even punishment is productive. Let's start with servitors, criminals and undesirables whose brains are mostly removed. Roughly 80% of their brain is carved out, leaving just enough for motor functions. But studies show they may retain scraps of memory. Some recognize old places. Some seem to remember pain. They are aware, but trapped. Archoflagellants. These are people turned into living weapons. Their pain sensors are cranked to the max. When activated, they enter a state of religious ecstasy mixed with unbearable agony. They tear through enemies, and sometimes allies, in a berserk trance. Brain scans show they still carry fragments of their original identity, just drowned in madness. Then we have the penal legions, suicide soldiers with a life expectancy of 7 minutes in combat. If you survive, you get sent back again and again. And if you're psychic, you're shipped off to a black ship where your mind is harvested until it breaks. Most go insane. The rest simply disappear. And finally, the plague of Nurgle. Imagine your body decaying, rotting, while your nerves stay fully active. You feel everything, the rot, the ooze, the insects. Forever, you stay alive, you stay aware. There is no end. In the Imperium, even death isn't the worst thing that can happen to you. Let's crunch the numbers. Given the air toxicity, nutritional deficiency, infection rates, and constant violence, a modern human, even a fit one, would survive at most 7 days in the Imperium before complete physical failure. That's it. 1 week. You just don't have the genetic adaptations, the mental tolerance, or the sheer brutality needed to make it longer. Hive citizens are born into this. You're not. To live in the 41st millennium is to accept that life is war, and survival is a temporary privilege. Billions die each day. Your death would be just another line in a data sheet. No one would remember you, and that might be mercy. To live in the 41st millennium is to know that your existence is war, and in the end, only oblivion awaits.